Hello, welcome to Conversations with Beth, where curiosity meets connection. I'm Beth Lees. I'm a lifelong spiritual explorer, a passionista, and a lover of deep, meaningful conversations. This podcast is all about getting to know amazing people doing wonderful things in a fun and intimate way through provocative questions that spark laughter, insight, and maybe some of those holy shift moments where all of a sudden your perspective changes everything. So get comfy, open your heart, and let's dive into some real soulful conversation. I'm super excited today to dive deep into the art of healing, one intuitive touch at a time. My guest today is a fabulous woman who doesn't just practice massage therapy, she embodies it. Dana Witter has been a passionate massage therapist since 2015, honing her craft with a thirst for knowledge and an open heart. She doesn't believe in a one size fits all approach because every body tells its own story. Oh, yeah. And Dana listens. From deep tissue to energy work, from cupping to scar tissue release, she brings a multifaceted, intuitive approach to her sessions, guiding her clients back to balance. But Dana's work isn't just about muscles and movement, it's about resilience, empowerment, and transformation. As a breast cancer survivor, she has walked the path of healing firsthand, and she now dedicates herself to nurturing fellow warriors through the power of touch. Massage was an integral part of her own recovery, and now she's passing that healing forward, one session, one soul at a time. So get ready for a conversation filled with wisdom, warmth, and maybe even a few holy shifts. Let's welcome the amazing, incredible Dana Witter to the show. Woohoo!
Thank you. What an introduction.
Yeah, baby. Well, I feel like I've had the honor of knowing you for, I don't know, how long now? 10 years?
Yeah, I'd say at least close to 10 years when I lived in Norwalk. And my good friend Fernanda and I would come take your
Fernanda.
tarot classes. And we had met in massage school. And that was when back when I was becoming a massage therapist or newly in the field.
Yeah. So let's dive into massage. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing that's ever happened during a massage session?
Oh
That
boy.
you can share with confidentiality and all that. But
Sure. Um, okay, that's
I got you stumped already.
you do. Yeah. Okay, so this was an interesting thing that happened um a long time ago, about probably like 6 or 7 years ago. Um, and I was towards the end of a session working on a client's head, working on their neck, and I happened to be next to a mirror and I looked over and I believe what I saw was their crown chakra. I just sort of saw like a tunnel of energy like right above their head, and I I don't recall that happening again. And this was one of those things where I totally forgot about it, and then I read it in a journal I had written at that time, and that was a pretty wild um, experience.
That's pretty wild.
And I'm sure with you doing Reiki, you've experienced some interesting manifestations happen, or energetic um, imagery you might see. But
Yeah,
that was a really cool thing
that's
that
really
happened.
cool. I love that. And I love that you wrote it down in your journal and then found it later and like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, yeah. So, all I can really think was that it was the crown chakra.
Yeah, that's so cool. I
Yeah,
love
and
those magical, mystical moments, right?
yeah,
They're
yeah.
fun. So, what's the biggest misconception people have about massage therapy, do you think?
So it seems to be shifting now, but the biggest misconception I would say is that it's a luxury and that it's only for pampering or it's only for very wealthy people. Um, Massage can really benefit a lot of people, and I've experienced myself the importance of human touch, going through breast cancer, and not just for that population, for really anybody, touch is so important, and it can help relax our central nervous system and get our systems back on track. And then, speaking on like the cancer population, when you are in in a medical field in that way, where you are receiving care through a hospital, they are doing wonderful, great things to get you back to health, but the way you're being touched is very different. You're being poked at,
Mhm.
for a physical exam, your veins are being poked at to try to find a good stick. And when you are doing that week after week or every month or whatever your schedule is, it it just doesn't feel very human after a while. But when I was going through breast cancer treatments at Yale, I was able to receive some complimentary massages in their integrative medicine department. And as someone who was already in the field, and I usually like to get super deep tissue work, when I was going through chemo, just having that light touch,
Oh, I love
um,
that.
yeah, and having someone who would ask me how I was feeling, and I was nervous telling them that I was always nauseous. But as soon as you tell someone you're nauseous, you feel that they're gonna be nervous that you're gonna get sick. And I knew that that wasn't gonna happen. And I was greeted with such kindness and such a loving touch where, and they had just cautioned me, if you feel like you're going to be sick, just let me know. And it was this wonderful light touch massage that I never thought that I would fully enjoy before that, because I always have some things to work out in my shoulders and my neck. It's physical work that we do, and
Right.
we build up our own knots in our in our bodies, and that it just kind of brings me back to that importance of human touch and how comforting and important it really is for everybody.
It's so true. So it's interesting because you have the experience of your cancer healing journey, right? And your experience as working with people that those are your clients.
Mhm.
Um, so how is it to navigate that as somebody who's already had your own experience with that, but also being a caregiver for them?
Sure. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. When I took a year off for my treatment. And when I returned to work, I wasn't self-employed at the time. But people that have gone through the same thing you have seem to find you. And I would get very excited to work on a fellow cancer survivor or someone going through treatment. At first, it would be, I was experiencing some PTSD, and it would bring me back a little bit. But it would also be very healing of, working on someone who was open to talk about their story, and we'd end up, um, you know, just sharing our own sort of cancer stories, and also I have it helps that I've gone through breast cancer, but there's also a moment where I have to kind of put myself in the back seat and say, okay, my story is not their story. What worked for me may work for them, but I also have to listen to their body, listen to what they're also telling me. And so it is also very humbling as well. Just knowing when to use my own experience, knowing when to use the knowledge that I learned from taking classes, and also knowing when to just listen to what somebody is willing to work on. So, for example, I know that scar tissue release will really help someone who's had a mastectomy because it could be inhibiting the range of motion in their neck or in their shoulders. But scar tissue is emotional work. Also, you lose sensation on areas that you've had surgery, which can you can get feeling back after some scar tissue work. But when your body is numb in certain areas, it feels foreign to you, and you may not want somebody poking around at it. You may not even want to touch it yourself. And I had experienced that, when I had a C-section. That was my first real experience with like a major surgery. And so, what I will tell clients is, I do think that this could benefit you in the neck or the shoulder area if you're ever comfortable receiving scar tissue work, whether it be where the port was or on the mastectomy. Some clients will say, okay, next time I come in, we'll do a little bit of that. Or they'll say, I don't like that area touch. I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable. And, I will always meet people where they're at. I will never ever force someone to receive work that they're not willing to receive. And what I may say in that instance is, that I completely understand that. What you can do on your own is start applying lotion or oils or salve that you have at home, and you start touching the area yourself and start getting used to the sensation. And if you're ever open to it, then we can do some more work there. Or if you're never open to it and you feel that it's not affecting your body, then we don't have to go there. Um, so it's very humbling that I have to just always meeting people wherever their comfort zone is.
Yeah, and I love that you have that experience from both sides. And so it's like you get to be there for them in a way that somebody who hasn't gone through the journey can, right? Like they
Yeah,
can't necessarily know it in the same intimate way that you do. Um, so can you take us back to the moment you first heard your diagnosis? What emotions were going on for you, how you processed that?
sure. So, I had, excuse me, I'll take you back a little bit further. I had found the lump um, mid-December of 21, and I never really had many health issues, so I I was alarmed, but wasn't completely concerned. And I ended up getting in with my doctor the next day. Imaging was backed up due to COVID catching up from the shutdown. So 3 weeks later, had a mammogram, um, and then an ultrasound on my lymph node because the armpit started to become sore. 2 weeks after that, I had my biopsy, and then I found biopsy was on a Monday, and then Friday I had seen my results in my chart, and I was cautioned, you may see the results before we do. If you don't hear from us by Friday and you see them in there, call the office and we'll make sure that we go over them with you. So sure enough, Friday afternoon, 3:30, I look at my phone, and of course I was checking every chance I could. Um, and So I found out in my chart, which, there's pros and cons to that. I'm thankful that I had the information when I did. Um, but seeing the medical jargon and not understanding it, but seeing carcinoma in there,
Yeah. Ow.
yeah. So I called my doctor's office, and he got back to me right away. He was seeing a patient, and it's Friday afternoon. I'm like, oh gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm racing home. Thankfully, this was my last client of the day. Um, and the front desk worker at my old job ended up cleaning the room for me because I had told her what happened. my boss walked in on me reading my results and helped me read them. And so I jetted home, called my husband Dave on my, Bluetooth on my in my car, and then I'm on the phone with him. My doctor calls me back, and he so graciously had us come into his office on a Friday at like 5:30, and it was starting to snow. It was going to be a snowy weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Went above and
And
beyond, right?
he did. He said, the office is going to be closed and locked up. Just let me know when you get here, and I'll answer as many questions as I can. And at the time, I'm thinking I'm going to go in there and he's going to tell me what stage it is and what my treatment plan is. But this was my OB, and he just answered as many questions as he could, and then referred me to Smilo, and they reached out to me the following Monday. But I'm so thankful that I was able to talk to him before I had a weekend of just ruminating over it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that initial call with Dave was me before I had talked to my doctor, and I didn't know what stage it was. I didn't know anything other than carcinoma metastasis. And
What were you thinking? Or what were you feeling? Like, were you in like panic mode? Were you like numb? Were you like, you know,
I was um panicking, but not letting myself panic enough where I couldn't drive my car,
that was good.
because I just wanted to get home. Um, so it was kind of like maybe it's my Capricornness, but when I panic, I plan. And so I'm like, let's just get home. Let's call Dave. I just didn't want any silence in the car. So I called him, and gosh, I still remember his response. And he was picking up Mara, our daughter, from my in-laws' house. And I thought that I was trying to read the medical jargon, and it had said carcinoma level 3. And so I said, I don't know, I think I have stage 3 breast cancer.
Wow.
And he was like, are you serious? Mara, we gotta go. And then he got Mara and then drove home. And I'm thinking, well, great. Now he's panicking and driving. Um, and then my doctor called, so I got off the phone with him. And then, essentially what happened was Dave came home, picked me up, we dropped Mara back off of my in-laws, and then went to the OB. Um, but it was okay. We kind of just figured out, we're just planning and driving, and a lot of phone calls. Just as soon as like your diagnosis, just phone call after phone call, whether it's with the doctors, setting up scans or what have you, or telling family. And so while I waited for Dave to pick me up, I called my parents. My family had known at the time, because I really didn't think it was going to be breast cancer, I had texted them a month prior saying, like, hey, I'm getting this checked out. I'll let you know what happens. And I was, making boob jokes. I was like,
I'm sure
hey,
Dave was too.
yeah, yeah, it's the humor, the soothing humor. Um, so I had talked on the phone with my parents and called my sister when he picked me up in the car. So at least, my immediate family knew. My
New.
in-laws obviously knew because they were taking care of Mara during all of this, and I had also kept them in the loop.
Yeah, so you weren't just dealing with breast cancer diagnosis. You're also dealing with being a mom, being a partner. Like, how do you navigate all that? How do you like, what did you want her to see how you were going through your cancer healing journey, you know?
Yeah, so Mara was 4 at the time. Actually, she turned 4 3 days later. So we
Happy
so
birthday.
yeah. So if you can imagine putting on a 4-year-old's birthday party, finding out you just were diagnosed with cancer, um, at least at the time, um, I don't think gosh, I'm like trying to remember. I think we did more of just like a family party anyway. So I didn't have to really put a face on in front of parents I didn't know. It was just more, we had a lot of family at the house, and then we had one friend over for her. But anyway, um, yeah, I Dave and I are pretty candid with Mara, and so we knew right away that we were going to keep her in the loop as much as possible, trying to not like traumatize her too much though. But you know, over the weekend, after I had found out, I sat down with her while she was watching Paw Patrol, and I had just tried to tell her, the best way I could to a 4-year-old, and I just said, so I'm sick with something called cancer, and it's in my boob. Um, and I had told her that I was going to look really sick for a while because the medicine's really strong. Um, and so at first she just said, "Okay, can I just watch my show now?" And I said, "Okay." So, so I let her watch a show, and then we touched upon it again because over the weekend I called all the family members, um, all the like the distant relatives and the friends, and um, so we had talked about it again, and then mortality came up because she sensed at that point the seriousness and said, um, "Are you going to die?" And I had maybe I went a step too far, but I had said, no, I'm not going to die from this, but we're all going to die someday. And then so, spoiler alert. So, we've talked about mortality quite a bit, and again, we're very candid with her, and it's we're working through it, and it's still affecting her as a 7-year-old, just having seen her mom go through a serious illness. And I had gone through chemo and had surgery, so I lost my hair. I had 6 drains when I had my mastectomy. So she's seen like the real, I don't know, I mean, ugly side. I don't want to say ugly, but like the
But the
real,
real
like the
stuff, the
yeah.
reality of having cancer treatment, right?
Yes. And yeah, and I mean it's all brought us closer together, I think.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How did how has it affected your relationship with Dave?
It helped get us, I mean, we were very close before that, and it was one of those things where you don't realize you can get closer to a person. And um I'm very thankful for his support, and he has been an amazing caretaker. Um, my mother-in-law had pointed out that going through this would has caused breakups in the past for people, and um how fortunate we are to have each other. And you know what, there it wasn't all him coddling me either. There were moments where he was like, look, I know that you're going through hell right now, but like, you've been really short with us, or I don't like seeing you like this, but you've been very agitated, or whatever it was. We've had a few conversations where he like confronted me on how I was handling everything. And sure, yeah, like as a cancer patient, you do go through a lot, but there's, still your household that you have to be mindful of too. And, and I was fortunate that I was able to take time off of work where him as the caretaker was still going to work full time, and then coming home and having a sick wife and a young child.
Yeah, it's a lot to manage. That's when
It
you find
is.
out what people are really made of,
Yes,
you know? Like you test drove him hard,
I did. I did.
which is awesome, which is really awesome. Because it's true. I mean, I don't know what the statistics are, but I suspect that I know from my own experience with friends who have gone through breast cancer treatment that it can break up marriages, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I would I suspect that the percentage is probably pretty high, you know?
Yeah. I'd be curious
Yeah,
to
I'm going to
find that
dive
out.
into
Yeah.
that one. What are the stats on that? Um, uh, what's something about your cancer journey to wellness that people don't talk about or prepare you for?
I think um how it affects you years later.
Mm.
Um and and also the I'll touch upon this first. The odd comfort and also like distaste of seeing your oncologist every 3 months to start out. There's this odd comfort of like, okay, I'm going to see my oncologist again. We're going to make sure I'm still good. And this comfort of being back in the cancer center, but then also hating being there and like hating hearing those sounds again. And like, hearing all the beeps of like the nurses, all buzzing around and the smells but then there's this odd comfort of like, well, I'm leaving. I don't know. I want to go in a camp. I want to go in a chemo chair. Like, why? And the last time I was there, so now I'm 2.5 years out from, or excuse me, I'm almost 2 years out from being done with treatment. And I had seen my oncologist in February, and I went around the corner to go chat with the nurses after. And it's like you miss the nurses, you become friendly with them. But yeah, there's that odd sort of like tug of war that you feel in yourself of you pull into the cancer center and you don't want to be there, but you also there's a comfort being there
Yeah, that's
too.
really fascinating.
Yeah, and then just circling back to what I first said about years later, I have one of my good friends had gone through cancer 13 years before I did, and she's been a wonderful resource for me, and she's been just a real help. And she and I chatted about what it's like to survive cancer for 2 years and how um, you still deal with a little PTSD, and then you do also have that sort of pull to want to see your doctor but not want to be there. And the PTSD seems to get better over the years, but then some things do trigger it. And you, I think maybe where I miss seeing my oncologist more, being in the treatment center more, is I don't I don't know, maybe just like when I was going through treatment, I had lost my hair. It was obvious that I was sick. And now it's I still a part of me has always changed, but I'm presenting like I did before I had cancer. And I don't know, this almost like there's a like I want people to know, no, I am a cancer survivor. I went through this crazy thing, but I don't know. Does this make sense?
It makes sense to me because you're just kind of like cancer is something that you've gone through, right? But you don't
Mhm.
have like it's not obvious to people, but you've evolved as a person because of that experience, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
basically what you're saying. Like it was a big deal. It's a really big deal, but there's no real sign that that ever happened to you at this point in time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And when and there, another aspect of that is when I get undressed or, change my clothes every day, I see all the scars. And my body has forever changed. And there's things that you don't realize, you may not realize when you're getting I had deep flap surgery where they moved my belly fat to my breasts. And it's not just that, it's my skin was sort of, trimmed off in ways I didn't know I was gonna like not have the same freckles anymore. Or I was getting a new belly button. And it's like,
Yeah,
why does that
exactly.
and I don't know, why does that bother me? But I found out right before surgery that I was getting like a new belly button grafted. And it just changed so much in your body that, it's just the body that I was born with and that I wasn't planning to really alter. Suddenly I had to alter it to survive.
Yeah.
And, I'm so thankful for the surgeries that were available for me in this time. I know that, cancer treatment changes so much. And so I'm thankful that I went through breast cancer when I did, and I had access to deep flap surgery. But on that note, being a survivor and seeing my oncologist even now, there are new things that continue to come out that I missed the boat on. So, for example, I was meeting in my survivorship clinic, and the person I was meeting with had said, "Oh, for future mastectomies, we have a new surgeon who does I forget the name of the actual surgery. It's micro something, but they can preserve the nerves in someone's breast when they have a mastectomy."
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
and that
preserves the
wasn't
feeling that they have in their breasts after the surgery, right?
yes, which wasn't available when I had gotten surgery. So I'm thankful that it's available for people, but there is a part of me that's like, oh, really?
Yeah,
Like
really.
I
Now?
just I just missed it. Um, and then and on the same note, I met with my oncologist last month, and he said, "Oh, there's a breast cancer vaccine that's coming out. But I don't think that you qualify for it because you're too like far into survivorship now." And then he was like, "But I'm gonna check." And then he comes back, "Yeah, no, you don't qualify." So there's so much happening and it's great and wonderful. But there's a part of me that's like, man, okay, well, I missed that too.
Well, and it's what fascinates me is like you know your body's changed, but me, as looking at you, I don't see that anything is different, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you're carrying that around. But from my perspective, looking at you, I'm like, yeah, that's Dana,
Yeah.
which is challenging because you have a daily reminder of it.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
did you get from, because I don't know that, did you have a focus of working, doing your massage work with breast cancer survivors as a niche audience before you were going through breast cancer treatment?
I did not. Um,
How did that all
so
evolve?
so interestingly enough, when I was going through massage school, I was chatting with a massage therapist who had been in the field for years, and she had told me about how mastectomies can pull down on someone's neck, and oftentimes when you work on a breast cancer survivor, they want that area worked on, but that wasn't something she was comfortable with. And I remember hearing that and saying, wow, I would love to learn that someday. And then I wasn't I had trouble finding a class in scar tissue for a while, and then I went through breast cancer and was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna learn from inside out for now. And then when I was finishing up treatment, I had gone through the heavy doses of chemo in the beginning where I lost my hair. And then the mastectomy after that, second surgery after that, and then radiation. Once that was all done, I finished up with a small dose of chemo and Herceptin. So I was back to work part time. And during my treatment weeks, I would take that week off just so I could rest because I would still get nauseous and fatigued. So when I was off on those weeks, I had found some classes that I wanted to take because I had the time off. So I had taken a scar tissue release class, and I took manual lymph drainage, and then I took an oncology class. Um, and this was all while I was still experiencing the side effects and like I said, was still finishing treatment. And when I would when I signed up for the classes, I was so excited. And then I'd go take the class and I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I have brain fog. I'm nauseous. I'm like so exhausted. But I'm so thankful that I did it because I learned so much and I've been able to really focus on this work and have more of a niche to help breast cancer survivors. And also not only that, I mean, anyone can benefit from scar tissue work that has a scar.
Right.
If it's a childhood scar, surgical scar, injury, um, pretty much everyone can benefit from lymphatic drainage. It's not all about lymphedema. It's any surgery. Oftentimes surgeons suggest it afterwards. Um, and it can also help with neuropathy. It can help with allergies, long COVID. It's got a laundry list of things it can help with.
I love manual lymph drainage. Yeah, it's awesome. And I've had it with Dana. This is not a testimonial, but it is. Amazing, amazing, amazing work. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it, and it's just it's fascinating work because sometimes I don't always understand how it helps all of the pathologies that it does, but if we can just bring it down to the basis of reducing inflammation and flushing out the lymph system, which is your trash removal system, I mean, it just benefits us in so many ways.
Yeah, gets things moving and grooving. You also do cupping, don't you?
I do. Yeah, cupping I had learned way before I went through breast cancer, but that is also another way that you can do scar tissue release with cupping. And there are some people that do lymph drainage work with cupping. I
I
haven't
was gonna
exact,
say, I think that that's another way to get the lymph moving. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, cupping is also another fascinating modality. I love cupping, and it just loosens up the fascia so well, and it can, take someone's fascia or muscles that are super tight and immediately really loosen them up so it's easier to work on. Um, or you can park the cups and then it's like you're getting a massage on one area, but I'm working on another area. So
and a tattoo at the same time. Well, just
yeah.
because you get marks left behind. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like hickeys on your back or wherever you're doing the cup, right?
Yeah. And it's a great like sort of advertisement if you work on someone
Exactly.
they go to the gym later, they're at the beach and they talk about the cupping they just got done. It's like some free advertisement.
Exactly. It's too bad you can't do it so that there's like a, phone number or something.
Yeah, maybe I should get one with my logo.
Yeah, it would be
The shape
so
of my logo.
cool. Cupping's gotten really, it feels like cupping's gotten really popular among athletes and things like that in the last, in recent years. I don't know.
Yeah, especially with the Olympics.
Yeah.
You always see, especially the swimmers,
Swimmers.
they're always marked up.
Yeah. It's fun. I love that.
Yeah.
If you could have any superpower related to your work, what would it be?
To see exactly what the muscles and the fascia are doing while I'm working. I always wish there could be like a fiber optic camera in there just to see exactly what's happening.
I love that.
Yeah. And I mean, also, I guess to just like it would be great to just be able to magically get everything all nice and aligned and in exactly where it's supposed to be. Um, that'd be cool.
That is way cool. I love you. I love it. If you could sit with someone in the middle of their own cancer journey, what words of wisdom would you like to share with them?
Uh, um, so the initial reaction is like to say it gets better because it does. But I think like just sitting with someone and saying like, yeah, it does suck. Like it when you are going through cancer, and I think with like any trauma, oftentimes, you know, other people have difficulty sitting in it, and you get blasted with the positivity of, oh well, at least it's stage two. Oh, I'm glad you caught it in time. Um, you know, you have access to Yale, you're in a great state to receive care. And there's plenty of true statements in that. But sometimes it still just sucks.
It
And
sucks. Yeah.
so
And you're
usually
feeling
when I'm
like shit.
yeah, yeah. um so sometimes I mean I don't always know what to say, but sometimes not saying something is important too, and just giving someone the vent to yell or just say what's on their mind, or I'll try to be a listening ear where I'm not going to be defensive or judgmental. Sometimes you know um someone's family member may not be as understanding, and they're also trying to just grapple with the fact that someone they love is going through cancer. So I guess yeah, just letting someone say all of the you know the nitty gritty, ugly things they want to say, and just kind of commiserate for a bit of like, yeah, it does suck. And I had touched upon this in the podcast I did with Smilo of the balance of grief and gratitude.
Right.
And there are so many great, wonderful things I'm so thankful for. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful for my health. I'm thankful that I had these surgeries, and then I had access to the chemo. But some days it just really sucked. And I am thankful that I had fellow cancer survivors that would give me that space to just cry about it and to just, can I swear?
Yeah, I already have a
Oh,
couple times.
okay. And just say, what the fuck? Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
And
sometimes life just sucks.
yeah, yeah.
And how
And
beautiful, though, that you can hold the space for people to be exactly where they are, you know? And you're
yeah,
your own living testimony to it, too, which is a beautiful thing.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, baby. What's something that's made you laugh out loud in the last couple of weeks?
Oh gosh.
It's probably Dave or Mara.
Oh yeah, totally. Uh yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Mara just is a yeah, she cracks us up so much. She's so funny and is so smart, and just like she's has the energy. My mother-in-law says she has the energy of a spinning top. She's just yeah, and she just she'll come out with some zingers too. Oh, gosh, I can't think of anything off the top of my head though. Can we come back to it?
Yes, we can totally come back to it. What's a question that you wish I had asked you?
Um, I don't have any.
Well,
I've been
that's good.
yeah, you've been surprising me with some of these, and they've been refreshing and nice to answer, and it's just been nice chatting.
What is a book or a movie that you'd recommend? Not necessarily related to this topic. It could be about anything.
So aside from all of the fantasy novels that I've been reading, you know, can always plug a good fantasy series, but I just finished reading the book Braiding Sweetgrass, and that is a book on uh Native American indigenous traditions with and comparing it to scientific knowledge in regards to botany, and it's just a beautifully written book that just shows the scientific sort of proof on traditional indigenous ways.
I
And
love that.
yeah, and it's just so beautifully written. Every chap it took me years to read it because I would put it down. I'd read like a chapter or two at a time, and I would find that if I read too much, my brain would kind of start to I would lose focus, and I wanted to like just drink in every word. Um, and yeah, it's a beautiful book.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah,
Woohoo. And you're also into the tarot. I know that.
yes. I think of you often with the devil card, how you say, who are you giving your power to?
Oh,
And
right.
I think about that often when I'm, you know how it is having a business and doing social media. And if I post something, I get a little antsy and I'll check the likes and things like that. And it drives me bonkers. And or I get nervous if I have a light schedule, and I'll remind myself to not give into the devil card of, you know, giving my power away.
I love that. And it's a Capricorn card.
It is.
And you're a
Uh
Capricorn.
I am, and long ago, actually before I was dating Dave, this is a long time ago, I had a tarot reading from an astrologer. And I remember the devil card came up and I didn't really understand it at the time. And she was like, "Oh no, don't be afraid of this card. This is you, Capricorn. This is you. You're the devil card. You."
You. You're the devil card.
Yeah.
Better the devil you know than the one you don't. Just say.
Mm, yeah, that's very true.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Dana. You're one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh,
And I'm always
likewise.
inspired by your journeys and all the wonderful work you're doing with people.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to
Woohoo!
it was so nice to chat with you.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
Everybody stay tuned and let's see if I can find the recording button. Woo!